Hi, my friends. Thanks for coming back. Today, I want to talk to you about some specific things that you need to think about and consider if you do decide to try to hire a professional book cover designer. It's similar in process to hiring any other professional, but with a designer, and specifically something like book design, you're going to get an artist. So you need to understand some things about working with a creative person, working with an artist, a designer, but you need to understand some concepts and factors that help you make the right decision. I'm not going to spend any more time on budget, and I'm not going to spend any time on experience level, because those two things we covered in a different video, discussing whether or not even just a professional is the right option for you. So I assume if you're watching this video, you've decided that, yeah, you have a few $100s in your budget for this. You are more interested in having a professional help you rather than you traversing the landscape of cover design software and going down YouTube tutorial video rabbit holes. I don't blame you, okay? It's not all fun and games, right? These professionals have a job because they are skilled at what they do. They get paid for this because they're good, and they enjoy it, and they know where all the best YouTube videos are. So let's talk about how you find yourself a good designer. Number one, you're going to probably find some sites that give you referrals or names of individual designers. I don't know if you're necessarily going to come up to a bunch of agencies or companies that do this, but in that context, if you work with a particular publisher, they may have a few options for you to consider. Or if you are connected with a site like Readsy, for example, they have a staff of designers that might be a better fit for some writers than others. For example, like maybe there's a children's book designer specifically. So think about options that kind of work seamlessly with the path that you're on. But if you're looking for an individual designer, besides, sort of a word of mouth referral, does anyone know a book designer type of referral? You can check out sites like freelancer sites like Upwork or Fiverr. DeviantArt is another good site for artists, right? We're talking creatives here. Confirm that, of course, there are graphic designers on there that do the book covers. Not everyone on there is going to be in that category, but that could be a very specific path to take if you have a specific vision in mind. So you're going to probably start out by doing a good, solid, basic Google search. Where do I find good book designers? But you're going to be led in a couple of these directions. Of course, there are many other directions. My goal is to help you cast a net and whittle down. So here are some things that you can do once you have some connections with some designers. Number one, start a spreadsheet or a document that helps you track some information so you can do some comparing later. Essentially, what you want to know are a few things. Of course, budget, of course, availability and time. Talk to them about the genres that they've worked in and specialized in. Ask for samples. They're going to want to show you what they've done before, and you're going to want to see it. So if they've done any memoirs, you want to see the memoirs they've done. They may want to show you their most favorite book covers. Maybe there's some fancy fiction ones they've done or something. But if you do have an opportunity to ask for genre-specific covers, maybe more recent ones, what are their more recent work? Ask for that. Get some samples in front of your face. This is where the work varies a little bit by professional, because a developmental editor, for example, isn't going to be able to always provide you with like a before and after, because developmental editing is such a different type of work. But with a cover designer, you're going to be able to see what they produced. You're going to be able to see what they made. It would be really interesting if they could provide you with some background on the vision that the author gave them, and how they produce that. So you want to start thinking about their artistic skills and their preferences. Some designers have very obvious preferences. Some use similar features and elements in a lot of their design. So you're going to start picking up patterns the more you see. So this list you're going to make, you want to basically find a way to kind of rank them or have a place to list your notes and make sure that you are keeping track of like, well, do I like this one or do I not like this one? Did they not respond right away? Feel out how the relationship is going to go when you are going through this interview process. So on your spreadsheet, you'll want to track maybe a column for style. What is their style to you? What is their personal perspective of a good book design, good book cover? What is, their leaning? Are they going to lean towards something more colorful? Are they leaning towards more muted colors? Whatever. Understand if they have a preference, and everyone does. Everyone has their own personal style. Because they're artists, that's going to come through. Some designers are better at allowing you to drive the bus if you come at them with a really strong vision. So understand where they fall on that spectrum. You want to understand what their skills are as far as illustration goes. Are you asking them to do some customized illustrations for your book cover? Are you asking for a particular style of art, so to speak? If you have an idea of what exactly you want, make sure to ask them about their experience in that area. So if you have a very intricate illustration kind of design concept in mind, you want to make sure you find someone who's very strong in that area, because you're not going to be happy with someone who's not, if you really do want that level of skill present on your book cover. Okay. Do they tend to default to like pre-made templates, or are they 100% custom? See if you can ask a question that kind of gleans an answer from that. Do you have a lot of standard templates that you start with? It might actually be a money saver if they do. They're spending less time on your design. Or do they just 100% customize everything? Understand what they prefer or how they work in that area. Of course, all of this is going to lead up to their price. See if you can get a price range before you have to completely tell them exactly your entire concept. Maybe you do send them your design brief. They can give you a custom quote from that. But otherwise, see if you can get a range that provides you with just some budgetary, some ability to rate it based upon your budget, right? If they're going to charge you $5,000 and your budget's like $300, clearly a little outside of your budget. But if they don't know, and if they just will not give you a price, it's going to be hard to judge where they fall on your scale. So take that under consideration. If you do run across a designer that might specialize in your genre, that's maybe a bit more advantageous than someone who's just more of a generalist, but this may or may not matter much for you. So just take that into consideration. A minor note is if you are considering a series, you want to work with someone who has that mindset and who will help you plan out the series, at least mock up the rest of the series if you want them to have a cohesive look to them. So just like a little asterisk side note, keep that in mind when you are looking for your designer. Another really big factor is time. Ask them what their standard turnaround time is. Ask them, kind of how they work. Do they go back and forth with you a few times? How many revisions do you get? Are they going to mock something up, send it to you? You get to give them feedback once and then you're stuck with what they give you? Are you able to give them feedback multiple times but only within a week? How does it work? Get an idea of their communication style. Are they quick to respond? Do you need to just be patient and wait? Do they only respond to emails on Friday? Like, see what you can kind of glean so you are not left in the dark and left like dealing with a surprise later, okay? So turnaround time might be a couple months, but within that couple months, you're going to get 3 revisions. And so are you getting a turnaround time quote for final design, or are you getting an initial turnaround time quote for your first draft? Those are the things that you want to get very specific on with regard to working with your designer. And then with regard to revisions, this one is extremely important to clarify, because when you are working with an artist who's attempting to extract what you want out of your head and put it on the page, and also run it through their own personal filters so that they're proud of their work, you're going to need to make some tweaks. So I want you to set your expectations to, it will never be perfect on the first round. That's okay. You're going to figure out where you're at and move forward. But how many revisions do you get? Now, if they cap it at 2 or 3 or whatever the number is, that's okay. Don't panic. Ask them what the cost is for any necessary revisions after that. Make sure you understand what type of revision is included. Can you revise any element you want? Can you revise only specific things? Can you tell them how, is it like one little thing is one revision, or can you give them a list in one go, right? They send you one draft, you give them a list of 10 things, and that's considered one revision. Or is it considered 10, right? What is kind of a big revision versus what is a smaller thing that might not count? So are you adding a comma that was just missed? Or, is that a revision? A comma? Please, God, no. Especially if it's an Oxford comma. I would just say that's hopefully just included in the price, okay? But get an idea of what this revision word means to them. Make sure they're very clear on this. I don't want to make like a broad assumption, but a lot of times when people are very creative and they're good at that, they may not be as specific with their contractual language. It's my experience that this is true. My lovely little sister is an artist, and she frequently is like not business minded about some of these things, which is totally fine. So she asked Big Sister to help her get business minded, because that's where my forte is. I'm not as artsy as her. I'm not as creative visually. So just make sure that you are taking control of the reins here. Even if you feel like the designer is a professional, totally experienced, you want to make sure you're on the same page so that it's a mutually satisfied, exchange of money and work and partnership, right? So you also want to understand what extras they offer. Do they offer, do you want like bookmarks or little, social media banners or something? Like, do they help you with promotional materials that match your book cover? That might be something you're really interested in, and it could be relatively inexpensive, and have them whip something up for you, and there you go. You got 10 Instagram posts within, a package deal. So see what else they offer. Yes, you're looking for a cover designer, but you're also thinking forward to what your book is going to do in the world. So there you have it. Those are the factors and the things that I want you to investigate when interviewing a designer and making your final selection. Ultimately, budget may be one of the biggest deciding factors, but I do want you to look at how you can get the most for your money, but also how you can get exactly what you want, even if it might cost you something that you did not anticipate. In the end, money is replaceable, but if you have a book cover that you don't totally love and it's sitting out there on shelves everywhere, it's going to make you maybe a little sad, okay? So I don't want you to be sad. I want you to be happy. I want you to be in love with your book cover. I want you to be in love with this whole process, okay? It can get a little sticky and hairy at times, but ultimately you get something that you love is the ultimate goal, right? Okay. Now, we are going to continue this discussion in my next video. We're talking about software for the do-it-yourselfers. This may also interest you if you're going to hire a professional so that you can play around in these softwares. Maybe they're free. Anyway, tune in. You never know what you're going to learn.